Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will. If you're watching this on YouTube, we both got hoodies on because we just got out of the gym. We just did the workout because we about to talk about magazine dreams tonight. So right off the top, magazine dreams just came out this Friday or Thursday, depending on where you live. Heavy spoilers, heavy, like 3 plates on the bar each side. Spoilers for this joint. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, or you don't want to know what happens, hit the pause button now. Come back to see us later. If you're good with it, keep it running because we about to do multiple reps. Right? We about to do muscle confusion here with this movie and this workout. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Will, what's up? How you doing tonight?
Yeah, first I just want to give a shout out to CJ because this dude, not that he put the battery in my back, but he reminded me of some things that got me a little bit more energetic and a little bit more vivacious. So shout out to him. Definitely, I'm ready to get into this movie, man.
You ready? Yeah, we gotta get you. I got you the pre-work, man. You gotta get the pre. Got the pre-workout in you, man. Ready?
The vitamins and everything.
Yep. All protein, no carbs, man. Nah. You ready, man?
Yeah, no simple sugars, no nothing, man.
6,100 grams of halibut. Ready?
That's real talk.
We're ready to go. So look, man. So before we just get into this, if this is your first time listening to the show, thank you very much. We do this every week talking about movies. Sometimes we talk about movies that are in theaters right now, like magazine dreams. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we do movies that are from back in the day. Next week, we're going to do one that's been out for a while. We'll get to that in a little bit later. We want you to subscribe, though. Subscribe from the very beginning. Like, share it with other people who you know who like movies and also like a different form of commentary about the movies. We really do a deep dive, and we're gonna really do a deep dive tonight, like deep squats. We're about to get it. We're about to get in this. I got a million weightlifting reference points in this. I'm gonna bring them all out. I've been waiting for this chance. I'm like the Birdman joint over here. I'm ready for it.
The visuals is crazy, man.
So that's why you gotta be on YouTube. So let me pass it over to my man, Mr. Will, for the summary of magazine dreams.
Man, folks, you are definitely in for a treat tonight, man. I'm telling you. Magazine dreams, whew, something else. This film is a very chilling portrayal of a man lost in his own image, where the pursuit of greatness slowly strips away his humanity, leaving behind a wreck shell of the man he once hoped to become. Through Killian's heartbreaking descent, Magazine Dreams explores the dangers of unchecked obsession, the fragility of the human spirit, and the deep, often destructive need for validation.
And let's not even, we're not even going to bury the lead on this one. Johnathan Majors is killing it in this show.
Yeah, definitely.
This dude is a truly amazing actor. And I know that there's been disruptions in his career. We know about why there's been disruption in his career. Yes. This is not the Sticky Floors legal podcast review. So we're not doing that. So that's what, if you was looking for us to read the deposition and talk about it, that's not this show. That's not what we're doing. We're talking about what's on the film, right? And on film, this dude has been an amazing actor. He's amazing in Lovecraft Country. He was amazing in The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. He was amazing in the Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I like that movie.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Because of him.
Because of him. Yeah, the rest of it was like, but yeah.
No. I'm just focusing on, you said, focusing on him.
Right.
And his talent leaps off the screen.
It really does.
When people say the eye test, passes the eye test, man.
And then what about the Loki series playing Kang? Mm-hmm. He Who Remains, and Victor Timely, he's working. You know what I'm saying? Like he's working the whole time. So
oh man, that was hilarious.
So when he gets to this joint right here, you're like, okay, magazine dreams. So number one, let me say this, man. I just saw this last night. The theater that I was in had probably seats for 50. There was 6 people in there.
Yo, I thought it was just me.
No.
I saw this on opening night. Counting me and my lady, it was only 4 of us.
Nobody's gonna see this movie.
I know.
Yo,
Nobody.
this joint is this is a shadow release. Like this is a look, the theater that I went to, right? I don't even know how they built this theater, but they built this theater in such a way that this was showing at theater number 2. Theater number 2 was all the way down the hall past theater number 1, which I've never seen before in my life, and around the corner by the exit.
Yo, that's crazy.
I've never seen how does theater 2 behind theater number 1?
Oh,
If the numbers are going down, it literally went 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. I'm like, what kind of movie theater?
What?
Yo, nobody was in there. So it was an interesting experience because there's no one in theater, everybody feels like they can talk through the whole movie, which everybody did. So it was a very conversational joke. It was like a private screening.
Yo, did you see that?
Right, that's what it was. Everybody, I mean, like you could hear people say, "Oh no, don't do that!" like loud, but nobody was bothered because it was like you were watching it at home with your friends in a theater because nobody was in there.
Don't do that.
It's a different thing, man. And the thing is that's by intention because there's been no promotion for this outside of what Johnathan Majors has done himself, right?
Or the YouTube trailer.
The YouTube, right? But I haven't seen the trailer on television.
No, and you won't.
Right,
and you won't.
Right. So the fact that 6 people showed up was kind of amazing in and of itself. And I got to tell you, I was sitting in the theater by myself until like halfway through the trailers when other people came in. I thought I was in the wrong theater. I did. I was like, I mean, like, you know, you got the thing on your phone with the seat. I got up and looked at the seat.
You start checking.
Right. I went back outside and looked at the door again to make sure that the poster matched the theater I was in. I was like, how's nobody in here?
You sound like me, man. Oh, we go inside to the door, and there's a guy in there cleaning. I said to him, I said, wait, isn't the movie supposed to start? He's like, yeah, I need a few more minutes. I'm sitting there like, wait, this is the Twilight Zone because they should only be playing this particular movie. He said, no, we were playing something else. And I was like, wait, what? You were playing a different movie inside this theater that's supposed to be designated for this movie?
Like that. How about that?
Skip past all that. I get that. So we walk in, we take our seats, we sit. I always try to sit in the back because I don't really want people behind me or anything like that.
Absolutely. Me too.
All of a sudden, I see one guy come in, maybe like you said, 15 minutes into the trailer. I see another dude. Excuse me. There were a total of 5 of us, maybe. Yeah. And then I seen a couple come in, and then that might have been another 15 minutes after the trailer. And I was like, that's it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that to say it's a shame that a lot of individuals will not go out to see this movie firsthand in the surround sound, Dolby, laser, whatever it is type of theater, software programming, whatever issuance that you're utilizing at that time, because his talent not only jumps off the screen, it moves you to such a degree that you feel that you're a part of the movie.
Yes.
From the onset, you're immediately thrust into his world. So it's a very rural area. So you automatically get the feeling that he may be one of the few Black families or participants in this entire town.
No doubt.
Which in itself will give you a different degree of what he's been put up against and how he's been ostracized and made to cope and interact with individuals in a very submissive way. Then while you see him driving in circles at a very frenetic pace, the only thing I could think of was Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, where like the filming and the lens and
great. Yes.
And I just I was just like, oh, it's also got Joker vibes when he's in the back, when Heath Ledger's in the back. Yo, you're wondering who's steering the car. And
you're hitting all the points now. Yes.
And I sat there and I was like, wow, the cinematography in this and the director of photography, whoever that gentleman was, please forgive me. I'll look it up and I'll get back to it. But I was just blown away because I'm usually drawn I can speak for CJ like CJ is, with respect to how the camera or the lens or is really a substitute for the eye or the mind and the way you're thrust into it. I say that to say, once he gets out of the vehicle, because he's got to get out the car, gets out of the car, and now you feel gauntlet of emotions: rage, embarrassment, fear,
He's got a lot going on.
heavy-handedness. Yeah, like
He's got
he,
a lot going on. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot going on, and I love the reference points that you made. Taxi Driver, Joker. It's got all of that in here. This is like you remember that song back in the day, the Eminem song "Stand."
yeah,
It's
yeah,
got the
yeah,
Stand vibes
yeah,
too, with like
yeah,
the writing the letter to
yeah.
Eminem and
Dope
thinking that they're
reference.
in a relationship.
Yeah,
That's how he
dope.
feels about Brad Vanderhorn, right? Which we're gonna get to. We're gonna get to that in a second. So you talked about it in the beginning. You talked about it just now. So the movie kind of drops you into this world of Killian Maddox, right? Who's an aspiring bodybuilder. He wants to get his pro card. He ultimately wants to be able to get on a magazine, hence the name Magazine Dreams,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the world that he lives in, he's an anomaly for so many
Mm-hmm.
reasons. First, like you said, he's like one of maybe like 6 black people in this town, wherever this is. Then he's 6'1", 245 pounds.
And that is
And
crazy. That's a feat in itself.
right. And he's a bodybuilder, which bodybuilders always are look a little bit odd compared to
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. Like if you've been to the gym, I've been to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to be in the gym with people who work out. Bodybuilders look different even compared to people who work
Work
out.
out, yeah.
And one of the things I like about the film is like they dress Killian Maddox always like a bodybuilder. Because like how the bodybuilder style is like turtleneck with like a starter jacket with like hammer pants that have like multiple color schemes.
Do you remember those pants that the NFL put out that were different colors and stripes and
Zubas.
Zubas? Yeah.
Zubas pants. Yeah. Everybody was there's people in the gym right now wearing those things.
With a cut-off sweatshirt, like the neck is ripped, the
Yeah.
neckline is ripped off, but he got a tank top, like one of them Jamaican see-through shirts, lime-colored green,
right.
like
It's on point. It's
with
just
with a Tupac neckerchief on his head, man. The dude is out
yo,
there screaming. I'm thinking like, yo, who's getting murdered? You don't see him lifting weights, but you
yeah,
hear, ah,
yeah.
rah.
You
All of a
see him on the pull-ups when he's doing that, and then on the squats, and like, but
yo,
yo, people do that. Like you be in the gym and you try to listen to whatever, and you like, why is this dude yelling? And then you look at him, you like, all right, I'm gonna let that go.
and
And
he
then,
got and I think the thing that CJ didn't mention is while he's doing the pull-ups, he's got a plate. I don't know how much that plate was. I forget
right,
offhand,
hanging from him, right?
but
It's
that plate
right,
was heavy, hanging
right,
off of his
right.
waist while
45
he,
pound, 45 pound, right?
yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, is this dude for real?
Yeah,
Then it jumps to a bathroom scene of him sniffing cocaine
and
and
shooting steroids.
injecting himself. I'm
It's
like,
just yeah.
how does your heart maintain?
Well, we're gonna get to that too. We can get to that too, because and that's the other thing too. We talk about the acting ability of Johnathan Majors, but also the physical
Yes,
the way
demands.
that he had to go to look like he does. Like they're not CG9
Nah,
nothing.
nah.
There's no muscle suit. Like that's him.
That's
You know what
all
I'm
him.
saying? Like that's like they didn't give him the suit with the abs in it. You
Mm-mm.
see it, and most of them, a lot of movies, he's in his underwear. So you
Yeah,
really getting like,
which is a
this
whole
is what
nother
this
thing in
dude looks
itself.
like. So you're showing that once again, the dedication that he showed for this movie to even to be in that role, amazing. You have to remember too that this is a movie that should have came out in December of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is coming out March 2025. So there's a lot of things obviously that have happened that have kind of derailed things. We're going to talk about in the end, like whether or not this is really going to set on another trajectory. But to get back to the story at hand, so Killian Maddox, he's trying to do this. He's trying to get into the bodybuilding world. He's also trying to navigate taking care of his grandfather, right? And that begins like,
Paw.
yeah, Pawpaw, right? And that taking care of his grandfather and being an advocate for him is kind of like the beginning of when things go off the rails. Once he gets into this turf war with the paint guys.
And that in itself is crazy. I mean, I would never introduce myself as, my name is Killian Maddox, and you've been dealing with my pawpaw. Like, okay, all right.
Right,
So
right,
that should have been a tip or a
right,
tell to
right,
whomever he's been interacting with, whether it be the paint guy or his job or whomever.
right.
The next thing after the scene in which he introduces himself is the guy is really like trying to listen in and hone in on what he's saying. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, look, the paint is thin, needs another coat.
Yeah,
And the guy is like, all right, you know what? Eventually he gets there. All right, you know what? Pay us. And we'll come down, we'll put on another coat of paint. It's really that
yeah,
simple. He's like, If somebody says to you, I'm talking to you in a calm voice, be prepared for some type of emotional eruption
And that's what happens.
immediately.
And that's what happens. Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to come down and break your skull and drink your brain like fluid.
That's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a wild threat. That's a wild threat.
Yeah.
And he goes, right, breaks in the thing, gets arrested for one of several times that this
Oh yeah.
happens in the
Oh yeah.
film, which we're gonna get into. And it's like you just can't help but feel the I would say like remorse for the character because
Mm-hmm.
the Killian Maddox has experienced a lot of trauma because there's
Mm-hmm.
no way that he's gonna be like he is and he hasn't.
Yeah.
Even though he's got the size of a grown man and all that, he's really like a child, right? So it's
Yes.
almost like that, of mice and men, Lenny kind of vibe, where he's physically imposing, but intellectually and developmentally, he's like a 12-year-old. And the movie, and so many things in the movie show that, and then also take advantage of it. Like his trying to build a relationship with the girl at his job, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the relationship with Brad Vanderhorn, which completely that I saw it coming. I saw
Not
that
me.
coming. I
Not
saw it
me.
coming because there's a couple things that were tells of it. One was his complete inability to really connect with a woman at his age. Like first with the girl Jesse at his job, but then also with the hooker, he couldn't like kind of get that. So there was always that kind of block there. And I don't know if have you ever seen this movie called Manodrome? I think that's what it is with Jesse Eisenberg. It came out like maybe
Mm.
2 years ago. It actually has Adrian Brody in it. Is in it
Okay.
also. And listen, it's spoilers for this, but this has already been out for a while. It's about a guy who starts working out, white dude starts working out, everything, and he's like trying to figure out a sense of masculinity. He ends up involved in this like kind of hardcore graphic homosexual sex scene with this dude that he
Mm.
ends up killing, and then the whole movie kind of spirals out of control from there.
Mm.
I say that to say like I saw the trajectory that the thing was going with Brad Vanderhorn, especially when he goes in, he touches his
Uh,
abs and everything. I could see that, and I was wondering if I was going to watch a movie that was going to play out like that movie also, because in the end, Eisenberg ends up getting arrested because he killed people, and he's like got all these other problems. This movie ends up a little different than that, but I could see that happening in the trajectory of it.
I think it's because you had that point of reference that helped you hone in on
Yeah.
certain context clues.
Mm-hmm.
Me, and this is probably why I'm so passionate about the movie as far as like my thinking and my logic
Mm-hmm.
is I'm looking at it like, oh, he's naive, he's
Very.
eager,
Yeah.
he is amenable, he's impressionable. He is that 12, like you mentioned in the pre-production meeting. He's that 12-year-old kid still.
Yeah.
He
He is.
stopped developing once his parents were unfortunately taken off of this planet. One due to the means of the other, but nonetheless, they are no
Right.
longer here to provide the guidance and the structure as you would think parents would do.
Yeah. And as
Uh,
he sorely needs.
oh yeah, he's desperately in need of that. And there's only so much that a grandfather who is two generations removed from the experience and dealing with his own ailments,
Health problems. Yeah.
and I think that those things are indicative of the movie, and they're symbolic for a multitude of reasons. One being, of course, the impotence that has continued to be fostered within Johnathan Majors' character.
Killing.
He's CJ had mentioned the two scenes dealing with females. One is a sincere like or crush that he has
Mm-hmm.
on a coworker, and him
Yeah.
admitting, "Hey, I only come here on days that you're off." Sounds
Yeah.
cute enough, innocent enough,
Yeah.
puppy dog love. But then once he's been hurt because he fumbled the bag on the 1 yard line, um, he's now dealing with a prostitute who
Mm-hmm.
she could automatically smell the blood in the water. She knows that this is a first time for him, that
Mm-hmm.
he's clay in her hands, that or putty, whatever artistic reference you want to use. But the point is that he is someone who is able to be moved in a certain way. So when he's in the room with her and he's in the opposite side of the room and he's like kind of like
Yeah.
shy and
Very.
and very timid, once she mentions, look, let's just get down to it. And she says, do you want to? And then he's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So it takes him, what, 20, 25 minutes to even take off his clothes?
Yeah,
Who knows?
because he's like a child. Like he's like a child, and you don't even know if that's like his first sexual experience,
Mm.
but maybe it is. You don't even know because you can see how he's moving through it.
But you could see how you could make that leap that this is the first time that he's
Absolutely.
been intimate with a woman. And then when he goes, his only viewpoint or vantage point or reference point is pornographic material.
Great point. Yes.
And automatically we all know that is, and you don't even have to have ever watched any of those type of films, genre, whatever have you. You automatically know that there's a great deal of overacting, that there's no sense of reality, that all of this is just based upon fantasies that are being exploited. So he goes and he tries to kiss her, and he does, and she immediately slaps him.
Right. Now, no kissing. You can't.
Now,
you can't do that.
It's wrong on a multitude of levels, but the hypocrisy is no, but you'll allow him to insert himself into you, but you won't allow him to kiss you.
But everybody's got to have boundaries.
Yeah,
everybody's got to have rules. And first of all, you shouldn't do that. Number one, just from the guy perspective, don't do that.
Yeah, nah.
We'd have to break that down to the Sticky Floors After Dark episode of why. But
only found on Patreon.
But regardless, don't do that. But like you said, man, I mean, he's like a child, right? How else is he going to handle that situation? And thanks for referencing the fact that he's watching pornography while he's taking his pre-work, man, which is diabolical.
Listen to that, and not even your normal, if there is such a thing, your normal heavy metal. He's listening to that kill your mother, kill your father, kill your brother stuff.
Right. Drive your own car through a brick wall. And he's like listening to that joint.
And even that seems kind of quote unquote out of place. He looks to his left and he sees two black females looking at him like, yo, where did this dude come from? They still make you? Or are you a broken toy?
Yeah.
Fast forward, there's so many points that are pivotal to displaying the type of man he is, or lack thereof, or man-child, I should say.
Man-child, yep, definitely.
When he has his breakdown inside of the restaurant, he sees one of the individuals that accosted him, that beat him down severely. Yep. And that's another thing. I don't know how this guy survived so many whoopings, man. Like this dude,
because he's 6'1", 245 pounds.
He's the Terminator. This dude,
he drinks pre-work while watching pornogaphy. If you do that, you get to be super powerful.
I guess so. Like he's in another zone. Whether it be
that's the formula.
Him witness, because normally, if you see somebody that did you harm, you're not going to talk to them rationally. You're not going to offer nutrition advice to their children. You're going to embarrass this man in front of his family.
Yeah, he does. He does.
No.
He does.
You're physically going to.
Oh,
yeah. I don't care about throwing food at him or his kids being feeling terrorized just by some words. I mean, like, oh, you're not so tough. When he said you're not so tough, I'm expecting him to put his fingers through his chest and his eye sockets and showing him, no, it took 3 of you with a weapon to beat me and catch me off guard. Now, tables have turned.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the interesting things about the film is Killian experiences all of these different ways that he gets accosted, right? The 3, like you said, the 3 dudes jump him and beat him up.
Right before he's going to go to his showing, too.
His show, right. The police officers beat him up. Brad Vanderhorn, basically, what is it
sodomizes him, man.
Yeah, but like he what's it called when you lead somebody up to the thing?
The grooming.
He grooms them, right? He grooms them into this sexual situation. What's interesting about the film is the film doesn't really show Killian get physical revenge for any of those things. Even like you said, in that scene with the in the restaurant, you would have thought he was gonna crush that dude.
Yes.
But instead, he kind of terrorizes him, almost like the way a bully would in a cafeteria. I'm gonna throw stuff at you and do that kind of stuff, but I'm not really gonna put my hands on you. So it was kind of interesting, this idea of I can hurt people, but I don't hurt people even when people hurt me.
The whole gentle giant thing is just not hitting for me because one, I mean, literally the charges that he gets when he literally, it's almost like a Catholic priest flatulating himself with the whip
Mm-hmm.
on his back, self penance
Mm-hmm.
rather, administering self penance when they've somehow feel as if they offended God or didn't adhere to
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know spiritual doctrine, and he's inserting his head through the glass window on some
Yes.
like what's the movie we did?
Louder Milk
Yeah, louder. Yeah,
in the program,
program.
right?
Yeah,
Smashing his head through right, the roid rage,
It-
because you on steroids, dog. So your ability to manage your
but he
emotions is
even
all messed
tells,
up.
but he tells the cops, "Yo, I'm only hurting myself." Think
Yeah,
about how the presence of mind to have in that particular moment. I'm
yeah,
all right. I'm just hurting myself.
yeah,
Then the police tackle him. They are so full of anti-black that they pepper spray their own man on the
yeah.
ground who's got him in an illegal chokehold,
Right,
while three other cops are beating him with sticks. I'm surprised they didn't beat each other, that
right.
they were beating this
Probably
guy.
did.
They stomp on him
Yep.
on some like, yo, put your teeth on the curb, American X style.
Then
They
they're afraid that he might have a heart attack and he might
that they
die.
administered. Don't you
They
die
might
on
kill
me.
him.
Don't you have a heart attack?
Yeah,
Because they're afraid of the lawsuit that they
yeah,
know is going to come with this after they see all the bruises. And they
yeah.
got the audacity to charge him with public intoxication.
And
That
resisting arrest.
so you didn't
And
run
resisting arrest.
you didn't run a
Yeah,
tox screen.
yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
have any
Well,
of his
you
bruises.
weren't expecting him to get a fair a fair situation, were you? Like that, and these are all important points, because within the film there's also this experience that Killian Maddox is having because he's a black man in this
Mm,
situation, and he makes reference points to it. And I have to give credit to the writer of this movie, Elijah Bynum, for making a film that deals with these issues around race and racism, but doesn't like beat you over the head with it.
mm-hmm.
Like you don't. No one has to say, Killian, they're doing this to you because you're black and you're big, and people are afraid of big black men, because that goes back to like they don't do that. And me, like I like that they assume that the audience is sophisticated enough to put the dot to connect the dots on what's happening to this character.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. It takes the presence of mind, the strength of character, the ability to see behind the lines an even deeper level. Like that is all surface level, the tip of the iceberg. Underneath it all is we all deal with trauma. We all deal with some type of hurt and anguish. But how we channel that. For him, it would have been constructive to devote himself to improving. Like I would surmise that his thing for bodybuilding is so that one, it promotes strength, like he said before. So
Mhm.
it gives off this sense of invulnerability.
Yeah,
The next thing would be that, you know what, I'm going to take care of my most prized possession, which is myself. I'm going to make sure
yeah,
that I am going to be a very resolute individual when it comes to health and
yep.
maintenance and just self care.
Mhm.
And which would you would think travel off into self love. No, this is
No.
far from it. This is someone who hates himself, hates his surroundings, hates life. He is a misanthrope because he can't
S-
have that connection with individuals.
So that's a great that's a very interesting point, because in the end of the film, one and I have some questions about the end, but in the end, you see like he's now taken down a lot of Brad Vanderhorn's pictures. He's
Mm,
still got some up there, which is wild based on what happens, but he's also now put himself up there.
mm-hmm.
And there's this I think the audience is they want you to leave as the audience with this idea that he has now found that what you're talking about, that appreciation for himself,
Yeah,
and
by
that like
eliminating the drugs and everything in the toilet.
yeah, exactly, yeah, like it was fast I got there, and I got some things about that, but it does try to give you that vibe that in the end, despite all of the stuff that he's gone through, and this dude needs, first of all, he's in major therapy, he's going to need major therapy after all this, but he's trying to get better.
And that's the thing too. I think that he highlights is he tells the therapist, "Thank you for trying." No
Yes.
one else in the entire film
Yeah.
gets those kudos except for him. He gets grief from the manager who doesn't say, "Hey, let's get you some medical help. You're bleeding here. Is what's wrong?" No, I'm
Yeah.
firing you and you're
Yeah.
bleeding on top of my
Yeah.
office desk.
Yeah.
Where Killian has to remind him, talk to me nice. In his
Yeah.
words, he says, watch how you talk to me. If
Yeah.
I see someone leaned over the desk talking about they have to remind me to talk to them nice,
Yeah.
a la Mike Tyson, I've
Yeah.
already messed up because it
Yeah.
shouldn't have gotten to that point. He's owed human decency anyway, but you need that reminder. There's something wrong with you. There's not something
Yeah.
wrong with him.
He did terrorize that old lady though. That was out
That
of
in
line.
itself, he's bleeding out of the mouth and he's flickering his tongue back
That
and
was
forth.
that was crazy. Like
That was extremely graphic. I had a nightmare about that particular. I'm not playing, man. I had a nightmare about that scene in itself. You want to talk about scared straight? I'm not built for prison, son. I'm telling you
no,
that right now.
right. And here's the thing, man. Yeah, shout out. That's another major key. Don't go to jail. We try to give you major keys. And look, Sticky Floors, right? Talk about movies, give you some major keys too. Number one, don't kiss the hookers in the mouth.
Don't
Number
do drugs.
two, don't do drugs, especially steroids. Number three, don't go to jail.
No.
All these things are bad. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's a problem for you. The other thing, like, so Johnathan Majors, right? This is the last things I want to say about this, man. Those scenes that you're talking about with him, he is so scary.
Yes.
Right? He is like, you feel like he could do anything. Like when
in
he catches
any
up,
moment.
when he catches up with the judge that said his gun towards were small.
And he's got the Mossberg pump action.
When he does that, you don't know what. First of all, we told him to take his clothes off. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, based on what Brad did to him, I was like, oh, I don't know what this. I was like, oh man, am I gonna be able to watch the rest of this film? I didn't know. You know,
backtrack, man. He's in the cut silent. How do you not feel a presence in your own home?
I know. He did hit him with like, yeah. He did him with the Ninja Gaiden joint. Yeah, in the corner, you can't see him. He hit the Metal Gear Solid.
Snake.
What's that noise over there? Like they hit him with that joint. But I'm watching it and I'm thinking, I don't know what he's gonna do to this guy.
That scared me too.
That was scary, right? And then he made him go through all the different poses.
Dude. The guy, he said, and like you mean it.
Right. Smile better. Like, I know it's wild. I mean, so first of all, we've laughed more talking about this movie than I did watching it because there's nothing funny.
There's nothing funny.
There's nothing funny at all about this film. It is like, it's disturbing throughout.
Yes.
Right. And only the last time that I knew, like, you know, points of reference, the last time I felt this kind of level of disturbance watching somebody in a movie like this was when I watched Joker, the first one. Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck is like Johnathan Majors, Killian Maddox.
Yeah.
In that when you're watching them, you feel like you feel sympathy for them because you know they've been abused and mishandled by numerous people in their lives.
System, their family, friends, strangers.
To the extent they have friends.
Yeah.
And then you feel like this person is capable of anything, and that makes them dangerous.
Yes.
And there's this complete loss of reality because when Killian is talking to the therapist and he tells her, this girl is my girlfriend and everything's going well.
She knows.
At that moment, I was like, oh, I can't trust none of what I'm going to see. So every scene after that, like just like in Joker, I'm thinking, is this really happening or not? So I had even when we thought he was going to kill Brad.
The hallucination, the fantasies.
Right. I had to see, like, did he really do that or not? Because he's obviously not playing with a full deck.
You know, and that's a brilliant segue too. And before we even get there, that's a dope highlight of, again, the director, the cinematographer playing with the light, playing with the different scenes and the ability to give you a glimpse of what his inner thinking is. So rather than a monologue, if you were on a play, or rather than a comic book where they have the little bubbles, you get to see like his fantasies about what he wants to do. And then all of a sudden, to his credit, he comes to his senses and he says, you know what, this is not the way, because now I will now become not the target of anyone's animus, but more of like a freak show. And anyone who's been driving on a highway who's witnessed an accident, you know that the traffic goes slow because everybody is so busybody, nosy, and wants to get an idea as far as what's going on. But the segue I was speaking to is CJ had mentioned, you know, earlier about the different transgressions that are committed to him about, you know, the system failing him, the police specifically, even his therapist. How is this guy not in jail? How is this guy not in a traction unit? We see that he leaves the hospital on his own when he's like,
Right.
"Hey, you got tumors on your liver. They're
Right.
not
By the way, he's got severe liver problems.
they're,
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
not malignant just yet, but
Right.
we got to do something about them nonetheless."
Yeah.
And his response is, "No, I'm a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders can't have scars." Meanwhile,
Great
this
line.
dude got his head through a window
Yep.
numerous times. I think
Yeah.
if I didn't miscount, I'm thinking this dude put his head through at least 7 or 8 windows,
Yeah, he
and he
got beat
doesn't
up a
have.
lot. He
And
took a lot of beatings, but his face, they don't grade that.
yeah, they don't grade that.
That's not on the sheet.
No, not
The
at all.
sheet is not eyebrow muscles. That's not on there.
Not at all. So forget the traction unit because supposedly he broke the same forearm, wrist, hand,
Right.
but
Right.
whatever. How's this dude not in jail? Like bail revoked or,
Yeah.
not on your own recognizance, anything like, yo,
Yeah.
you are going to jail. Don't
Yeah.
pass go.
Yeah. You've asked the ultimate, like that's the unanswered question of the film that he should, I mean, because he's got destruction of property on the paint store.
Yep.
He's got a car crash because he ran into a
Yeah.
car leaving there, right? So he's got that.
And if they
He's
did
got
a drug or intoxication or toxicity screening,
report, yeah.
they're gonna find coke and steroids in his bloodstream.
Right. Right. So he's
That's
got
illegal.
that. Yeah, it is, right. Another thing, don't do drugs. Another thing too, right? So then he's got like a resisting arrest. He's
Yeah.
got that. He's got destruction of property on a lady's car, which is $1,200 because he
Whoa.
put his head through there. He just got fired from his job where he was threatening people. He
Yeah,
was
that's beyond
threatening
HR.
an
Yeah.
old lady. You know what I mean? Like,
Sexual harassment,
dog, this dude is
menacing,
right,
loitering.
right. It's an unanswered question, and that if there's one big plot hole in the whole thing, it's like, why is he still out on the street?
How's he able to get a gun?
I know.
Like that's the other thing.
I know.
How did
I
he
know.
get the gun?
I know.
No, correction. Guns.
Right. He's right. Because yes. Because he's got like you said, he's got the shotgun, and then he's also got the AR-15. Yeah.
So, and then the thing that really gets me is what's up with the security? They're not patting people down when they go into these theaters.
I thought about that. Yeah. I thought about that too. Yeah.
So now I'm thinking,
Yeah.
all right.
There's no metal detectors, nothing. He maybe lives in an open carrier or concealed carry city.
Okay.
Maybe that's,
so how does he get backstage then? They don't check
there's
passes.
There's no security. I guess people figure Brad is so big that nobody would.
And he's just walking around with a duffel bag. Like really? I mean, it would have been all the more cliche if he was walking around with some type of instrument case.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, could he have at least flattened Brad's tires or something? Some kind of payback for that?
Or just tell his wife, like, "Hey, yo,
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I think we've suitably spoiled and talked about the film itself. Let's get into the cake and the hate and the questions because we got a lot more on that. I'm gonna kick it over to you first on the cake.
Well, first and foremost, if you were an early listener, or even if you've gone back and listened to some of our old stuff, we always talk about the intentional decisions made by individuals who come up with the names and such. So first and foremost, we've already covered Johnathan Majors as the actor, so that's one of my cake. But his name is the character's name, Killian Maddox, is pretty dope. I looked up Killian, and it means church or little church, and it's the masculine variant in Irish in Ireland. So thinking of that, where individuals talk about their body as a temple, thinking about that as far as him being a bodybuilder and putting that on display, and they're going into these auditoriums and they're putting on presentations with the lights and all of these things. And so you could say that he's at the pulpit and he's delivering a sermon, except through his physical appearance. But that really did something for me, and I think it highlights or denotes as far as why he is the way that he is. And his last name, Maddox, itself means fortunate or blessed. Now,
How about that?
Think about how everything is bad, and even the scene that's very poignant of him collapsing in the arms of his grandfather who has the breathing apparatus through his nose and such, but his grandfather comforting him and telling him it's all right. Whereas scenes ago, prior to that, he was commending him on saying, like, you've never once said that the world owes me this, or that the
Yeah.
world did this to me, or that
Mhm.
I'm handicapped, but you continue to lift those weights and maintain that routine day in and day out, which, as we all know, is a struggle because, you know, it's very easy to just stop one day. You have to be
Yeah.
consistent day in, day out, X amount of
Mhm.
hours, but he continues to maintain. So the etymology of the name is another thing that really did it
I
for me.
love that. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
was
dope.
pretty dope. And then last but not least, just the overall theme. So we talked about it pretty much in depth as far as impotence, emasculation, dehumanization, ostracized from society, you know, just not feeling a whole as far as himself. That
Mhm.
emptiness as far as his parentage, and his parents not being there, but having a surrogate parent, surrogate father, and just his constant motivation and drive to try and be the best that he can be. All
Yeah.
incredible themes that I was able to take away from this movie that left a very pronounced impact on me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I really like the Killian Maddox breakdown of the name because
Yeah.
it's not a name that you normally hear, Killian.
No.
So I thank you for
Yeah.
like just giving me that shout out there. All right, cake wise, I got a couple things, a couple scenes. I like the scene where Killian asks Jess out, like just getting into the
Yeah,
parking
that was
lot,
pretty dope.
trying to build up the courage to go
Yeah.
back inside and ask her out. It's meant to be awkward, and
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to be like almost like you're watching teenagers. And Jess is also a lot like a teenager herself,
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of makes sense. But I just like the scene. It feels innocent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I like that. Maybe my favorite scene in the whole film is when he's trying to shoot the YouTube videos
Mm.
and he's trying to shoot the clips and he's
I,
shutting it off and he's got like that is
my heart
just
broke for them for that, man.
it was great. I mean, that scene of him because because we do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much courage and planning it takes to get on screen and say something and then to do that, he's in his underwear trying to talk about his strides, all of his
Mm-hmm.
muscles. You know how hard that is. You have to imagine how hard that is for somebody with his limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And then for him to get the response back, you should kill yourself and all that kind of
This
stuff. Like,
incel stuff and
right. That was painful, man. But
mm-hmm.
it's a great scene. To go back to the thing with him and Jess, the crash out, how he crashes out at the at the dinner
He
table with
just
her.
looked. I
Yo, yo, that was great because there's two things. One that I love about that scene is his shock of that she doesn't know who Brad Vanderhorn is, right? And his like almost thinking like she's messed up because she's not on this. And this idea of and there's a documentary, Generation Iron. I don't know if you've never seen it. It's actually a really good documentary. It's about documentary about bodybuilders. And there's one bodybuilder in there, Kai Green, who's really, really big time bodybuilder, been on covers and everything. And he talks about the selfishness that a bodybuilder has to have.
mm,
Because he's like a bodybuilder, if you're going to do this for real, you have to go to the gym no matter what.
mm-hmm.
So your kids are sick, you go to the gym. Somebody's in the hospital, you still got to go to the gym. You get sick, you still got to go to the gym. What Killian is conveying in that scene with Jesse in there is this idea of like, I'm dedicated to my body, I'm dedicated to this goal, nothing's going to stop me. I like that scene because it was like the bodybuilder mentality that I've seen other bodybuilders talk about, which is why I dug that scene. You talked about before the frantic filming of the when he's driving the car. Great job by the film cinematographer there. And the last scene is when he's in the bathroom with the white dude doing the coke. First of all, he's sweating like a pig in there, right? And that's like I don't know why he's so much in there. Maybe because he's got a turtleneck on with a starter jacket inside zipped all the way up
In a club with
in
other
a club.
people.
Right. But the other thing is the way that the dude is talking about the problems in America. And he talks about how everybody's got to be afraid of something.
Afraid of the black
And he,
guy, not
and he
you.
said, of course, the blacks. And then he looks at him, he's like, no offense.
Offense.
And Killian there's no, like, he doesn't even like acknowledge
Recognize
it.
it, no.
But it just plays into a larger theme of the way he as a character is being overlooked and not seen as a real person. And it encapsulates that in that scene. So that's my cake.
Yo, but to go back to something, all three slices, dope. But to go back to your second joint with the interaction with Jess,
Yeah.
it made me think of how honest can you be on a first date?
Not that honest.
He he no, forget the fact that he mentions like his dedication to his craft.
Right.
He
Oh, I know what
mentioned
you, yeah,
he
yeah.
mentions that his parents were murdered.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
So you on a first date, it's not cool to tell your
No.
your your
Right.
your date, about anything traumatic. You kind of want to
Not
but
that traumatic.
no, but see,
not that bad.
but this is my thing. When do you tell them then? And
That's
how are you supposed to tell them? And
yeah.
if you tell them later, what's to say that they don't hit you with, well, why didn't you tell me this sooner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like
a fair question. It's a
it's a
fair
delicate
question.
dance.
Yeah, it's a fair. But the other thing that kind of makes it weird is that he says to her, "You remind me of my mom." Then he says, "My mom's dead." Then he says,
Yeah,
"My dad killed my mom."
that was
Then he's
very
like,
awkward.
"My dad killed himself." So like, if you're okay, let's imagine if you're on a date with somebody and that's what they tell you. Hey, Will, you look like my dad. My mom killed my dad.
I don't know how I would take that, Joy, because my thing is like, one, this has been repressed, or you've been holding this in
Yeah,
for so long, and you've chosen me to share this knowledge with. I don't want to call it unburdening yourself with it, because now
yeah,
it seems like very nasty. But I would say, like, no, you've chosen me and this
yeah.
time and place to divulge that. There must be a reason. So I'd try and be more empathetic.
So you would
And
stay.
I
You
would
would
try,
stay
because
in the
I'm like,
dinner. You
yeah,
would stay.
why?
You would still have the appetizers.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, you're paying for the meal. At least I'm getting a free meal out of it. I know, but I'm not going to date you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I don't want to be victim number 3. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right. How about that? But also Jesse is also, or Jess is also kind of juvenile herself.
Oh, she's shy and she is very awkward, and
Yeah,
she's also
she's in his universe of
yeah.
people
Oh yeah,
tolerating that.
she may not be within the stadium on the playing field, but she's in the stands.
Yeah, she's in. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And so she even mentions, "Hey, you're shy. I noticed that about you. I like that
Yeah,
about you."
yeah. I'm very shy too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I told my dad that I was going out with you.
See what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Yeah,
it's almost like, yeah, Dad, I'm dating this big black guy just in
yeah.
case something goes
Yeah.
down.
Got
So,
to, got to do that.
so
Got to let somebody know, man.
I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
From a safety precaution. You know what I mean? But at the same token, it's like, what else did you say to your dad?
yeah. Jess definitely crawled out that bathroom window. She
Oh,
definitely, she definitely did. And you know what?
but the way he played
I'm
it
not
off is
mad.
the way he
Yeah, I'm
played
not
it
mad
off
at
though
her.
was like, yeah, she told me, and I'm well aware. I'm still going to eat this meal.
He did. Yeah, he ate 4 meals.
Oh,
He had four.
no,
That bill had to be like $700, man.
minimum, and that's
He
not
had to
counting.
be
That's not counting gratuity.
right. Well, first of all, they have to put extra gratuity on it because you ordered 7 courses, dog.
But I don't think they have to, because I think he's a regular.
Oh, good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the
Yep.
thing that got me was when he said something. What's the name of the place? I forget. But he was like, "Yeah, something hotel or whatever," and she's like, "Easy, cowboy." And I'm
Yeah,
like, and then they fast forward that it's a restaurant. So
yeah,
if she's a local, she would know this instead of
yeah.
feeling as if he was.
Just doesn't go places, man.
And that's what I have
Just
to
isn't.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just isn't a
she's
house.
she can't be agoraphobe because she works. So, but there's something limiting as
Yeah,
far as her experience.
Jess is off too. Yeah, because she called him for a date.
Yeah. No, she didn't call him. She tracked him down and asked the boss
Right,
for the number. I don't
right.
know too many employers that are just giving out employee phone numbers to another employee.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't. So we have that on the list. Don't chase after the steroid guy on the phone. Don't do steroids. Don't do cocaine. Right. Don't kiss the hookers in the mouth. Right. We got all things. Like we're
The no nos. Yeah,
educational show, man.
we
All
try
right,
to
what you
be.
got on the hate, man?
Everything that we didn't discuss.
with the broad, with
Broad strokes.
the
Yeah, man.
broad strokes. There
Look.
it is. Look, I know how this popcorn is gonna shake out for you. I know what that one's gonna look like. All right, I got a couple. I got a couple more strategic slices, man. You just do a hand grenade into
Yeah,
the
look,
rest of the
I'm going
film.
with blunt force trauma. You want to be surgical.
I'm being surgical, right?
I don't
Right,
care how we get there. Somebody's coming
right.
out somebody's not coming out unscathed.
Somebody's not gonna make it. All
Yeah.
right. Couple things that I didn't like. The music and the score. The music is just off. Only way I could describe the music in this film is like Disney forest music.
I,
That's what I'm thinking.
but I think it
It's
jives because he's crazy. And so it has to be crazy.
okay. All right. I could okay. I mean that's a fair point. That's a fair. Okay, cool. You know, I'm just cross that off because okay, fine, you got that. You won it. All right, this round to you. Okay, next. We talked about it. Killian getting jumped by the three white dudes with the metal pipe. I just hated to see that.
Oh, I was
I hated to
heated.
see that. Of course, you know, look, I'm not gonna ever want to see a black dude getting beat up on camera on film. To see that, and it felt real. It felt like that was gonna definitely something that could happen.
Hmm.
I just didn't. I just hated to see it. And then, like you said before, the determination he has to still try to get to the show. He's
Running with
bleeding.
one
Right.
arm hanging.
Crazy, but great scene, but just hard to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe the scene with the prostitute. So all right, and we talked about this when we did Killing Him Softly. The whole like black woman, nameless, faceless hooker joint that happens in movies. I'm done with that. Like we got to do better. Okay, if Honora can win best picture and best actress, and we can have Pretty Woman, the black woman can have a name, and she can do more than just be like, you know, pink coat, because that's what's called, and that's what's in
Pico.
it. Yo, look up the roles. Pink coat. We can
Are
do
you
better
telling
than
me
that.
the casting director?
Pink coat.
Wow. Pink.
We got to do better than that. We got to do better than that. And the fact that that's the only black female character in the film,
Mm.
and that's what you get from her, is like there's some that's off. There's that's just off, and I just want to see more. I just don't want to see something better than that. So that's in my dislike scene. Of course, Brad Vanderhorn. Come on, dog.
Yo,
Like,
that dude.
yo, that scene. I got a question about that scene in my questions. We're gonna get to that, but
I got
needless to
questions
say,
about that scene
yeah,
altogether.
I was not pleased with that. and then the ending. So you know, I understand at the end they want to kind of leave you feeling like Killian's gonna be okay. Maybe I think we've said enough to suggest that that might not be the case. So it just felt like they kind of tried to put a bow on the whole thing. Like, you know, he's gonna be all right. He threw his gun. First of all, he threw away
How do
like
you
two guns into the forest. Like some kids are gonna find those guns
in the
and kill
bush?
themselves.
Yeah, like
Right.
next to the train tracks.
What is that? Like, that's not how you get rid of that stuff. Like you couldn't
No.
do anything better than that. So you got that problem. He's got whatever. We'll get to that in a
How
second.
are you
But
flushing down syringes and medicine bottles down basically a
uh,
personal it's not even the commercial toilet, you know what I mean, where
the
it could
judge the judge from the competition is going to file a
he's got
police
yeah,
report.
like what?
He's going to jail for kidnapping, terrorism, threatening somebody with a shotgun. Like
Yeah.
he's finished. So that's my hate. Those are the things that just was hard for me, and some of it is hard just to watch. And there's parts of this movie that are just very hard to watch, but some of it just wasn't my cup of tea. That's what I got.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
That's what I got. All right, my man. I'll take questions first, and I got questions for you,
All right, cool. First question.
man. Why the deep sigh, man?
Because this movie is tough, man. Like I gotta like you mentioned in the pre-production meeting, it's toxic air, but you need air to breathe. But like it weighs on you. This movie is tough, man.
It is.
Made me ask a lot of questions, gave me more questions than answers.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, man, I had nightmares about that one scene.
I
Like
know. I know. It's
the
great. It's out
movie's
there.
traumatizing, man.
It is. It really is. It really
Like,
is. It's not.
it's
Yo.
not for the faint of
Yeah.
heart.
It's not.
No, it's
It's
not
not.
for the
Well,
faint
it's
of heart.
actually not for a lot of people because ain't gonna like maybe at the end 25 people will watch this. So
Maybe in we're part of the 25, so just imagine.
how about it?
Question 1. How does the pressure to conform to societal standards of beauty and strength affect one's mental health? Now, here's my thinking behind it. You have the Adonis complex where,
Mm-hmm.
nowadays you got the action heroes and especially
Mm-hmm.
in the comic book characters where they build up this stature. I
Yeah.
know I don't have that physique and I never will. All right. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about this in another episode where it's just not a possibility.
Right.
But with that in mind, now you're talking about inner peace versus outer, your appearance, inner and outer beauty, et cetera, et cetera. With all of this obsession, like I've never seen it more pronounced. And I can recollect the little movie drama about Jack LaLanne and how he got things started as far as
Mhm.
weightlifting and things like that, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger's
Mhm.
documentary. I say
Yep,
that to
Pumping
say,
Iron.
yep. So I say that to say, you know, there's been this robust, fervent push to get in the gym, and not necessarily for health reasons, but
Yeah,
more about the appearance.
yeah,
So how does all of that, contribute to whether, or it does it not,
yeah.
this belief of conforming or not conforming?
Yeah, I think and one of the things that's really cool about this film is I've never seen a film that was about bodybuilding.
Mm,
I've seen documentaries, but I haven't seen a film about it. So the idea of this like this obsession that Killian has, first of all, with being like the best version of himself, but then also this idea that the best version period is Brad Vanderhorn
mm,
is extremely destructive because what also happens in that world is there's certain physical limitations of what you can actually achieve.
yeah.
His legs aren't going to get but so big. The calves, they always say calves is genetic. So
Yeah.
you can't, there's only so much you can do with that. Because he's forced to then go to steroids to try to get the size that he has is a show that that's not really in his wheelhouse. Just
Hmm.
like you would say, yo, all right, I mean, like I know, like back in the day, you had the six pack and everything. I know you had that, but now look, we're good. Dad bod is good. We're good, right? We can do it. But for him, he doesn't have that. He's never gonna. He can't look at himself in the mirror and see what looks good. He only sees what has to be improved, and that's why he gets so stuck on the deltoid thing
Yeah.
because it's the one criticism. Looking at him, who would
Y-
be critical of him? But
Yeah.
for him, all he can hear is the negative things, and that's the problem. When you're a person that views everything as compared to something else, you can never really be happy with himself, and that's why he's not. And hope and like they kind of think he gets there at the end a little bit, but he still got pictures of Brad on his wall, which is extremely problematic.
I just didn't know if those were pictures of Brad or Arnold Schwarzenegger, because
It
he
was
had like
different guys. It
yeah,
was
because he had
different
like
guys.
a bunch of different dudes on there,
Yeah,
whatever. I didn't know if he had that last one remaining of Brad Vanderhoorn.
he's still writing Brad.
Oh yeah, I thought he said
Remember
this
at
was
the
the
end,
last one. I thought he said it in his
maybe,
last letter.
maybe he did, but oh, he still might write Brad because
It wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not saying it's out of the. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. I dig it. I dig it. And even that in itself is problematic. But I digress. My second question for you is: how does isolation shape a person's choices, behaviors, what they eat, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, just thinking about Killian or
yeah,
any of the other characters, we mentioned
yeah,
Jess herself is an individual who may be a little attention starved and not
yeah,
necessarily in the loop of the know. And even the
yeah,
grandfather, because of his medical ailments.
yeah,
Um, how these things contribute, or can they contribute to having a meaningful relationship? Do they help with the emotional turmoil that one may undergo? Can you speak to that?
yeah. The thing about all of these, well, let's just say take Killing for example. He has no friends,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't really have family outside of his grandfather, and that relationship is more like caregiver than like
Mm,
getting things from the grandfather. Though the grandfather is trying to build him up, he
yeah.
does say some empowering things to him. I think like, humans, we're communal, right? We're
Mm,
not meant to be by ourselves. And I think when we are, our outlets become things that become more like ailments to us than assistance.
mm,
Because Killian's world is I have no friends. I go to the gym and work out. I use steroids. I watch porn while taking pre-workout. You know what I mean? Like I'm driving around at night looking for hookers. Like his whole thing is in a box, and it's a very small closed box, and he suffers from that, and there's no one around him that's really even trying to like be in the box with him,
mm.
and his box is so small that it's hard for him to get out of it, in any real and meaningful way. This dude needs some friends, man. He
Yeah.
needs some friends. He needs more family. Like those are the things that would have helped him so much, but he doesn't have it. And to be fair, that's also consistent with the story. So the movie is accurate
Oh
in
yeah.
how he gets to where he is based on the world he lives in.
No, that's tough right there. Number three. How does caregiving, which you kind of alluded to, affect one's ability to maintain their own wellness and well-being?
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody that's ever had to take care of someone else be it a relative. I'm talking about somebody with like a
Yeah.
long-term
Long-term
illness. It is people that I have known that have been in those situations. It is extremely taxing on them. And there's a sense of guilt that they don't want to do it, but they continue to. And there's an sense of exhaustion because they're doing it. And it's like a very like it's like being handcuffed in some ways to the person because their ailment becomes your ailment because both of you can't really do anything
Yeah.
as a result of it. You know, like he Killian is not. I don't think Killian can get an apartment. I don't think he's capable of like
That
getting an apartment and kind of taking care of himself.
no, that
But
house
he's
better not
also
have any arrears or anything.
right. But he's also barely able to take care of his grandfather beyond, you know. But he's got to wash him up. He's got to do the wash up. He's got to make sure he eats right. He's got to make sure he takes his medicine. That's a lot. That caregiver role. This brother's under extraordinary stress in his home life. So home life is stressful. Out in the world, people are jumping him. Cops is jumping him. You
Non-stop.
know,
Even when he
it was
went out
just
for a run, the cops
right.
shining
The
the light
cops
on.
right. Dudes is trying to trying to get him in the trap. Like he's this Killian is under extreme pressure everywhere in his life. I thought that the movie would end with him committing suicide.
Yeah.
I thought that was the trajectory based on where it was going. I'm glad it didn't end there.
Yeah.
But you could see it because look at all he's dealing with.
It's crazy. That was a lot to unravel. Last question for you is, what does the film suggest about relationships between celebrity culture and violence?
Yeah, I think this is what you see in those YouTube clips, and even because even when he passes out, when he passes on the stage, that became posted on YouTube. Also, there's like why I've never understood why people want to get on a social media platform just to talk bad about someone else. I've never understood like you can disagree and you can constructively disagree. We've done that, right? But to get on there and be like, you should be dead, you should kill yourself, all of that, and that's real. People get those messages. A lot of people had to shut down their thing because of the comments they were getting. That language, that's violent language. That's hurting. That destroys somebody's self-esteem, and he faces that too. This dude is. I mean, think about how big he is. He's getting bullied in every aspect of his life. His celebrity status, if you will, is really just public punching bag. And that's what people are treating him like. And where do you go from that? It's a sad movie. It's a sad film, man. The more we talk about it, the sadder it gets, man.
Yeah.
I
laughed to keep from crying.
Yo, I got questions for you. My first couple is gonna be a little bit more funny because your judge, man, goodness gracious, I gotta get some tissue, man. Talking about this.
He said I gotta get some tissue.
Yo, all right. Here's my first question for you, man. Yo, what is Jess on to be calling Killian to go out on a date?
Minimum liquid courage, man. That alcohol, she's throwing back fifths or something. Because she let dude walk out. She didn't even say, "Hey, stop. Yes, I'll go out." Whatever. She let him marinate in the sense of despair. Like I embarrassed myself. I've been there. I've asked a girl out when I was younger, and like
got stomped on.
Yeah,
right. That's rite of passage.
Yeah, this dude. I don't know if he can bounce back. That might have been the needle. That might have been the final straw for him, man. Might have been. All right. Another question about the dinner. So, yo, why did Killian go to the date dressed like a Hall of Famer, dude,
man? Why do you have the gold jacket on?
I started cracking. Nobody knew why I was laughing. I had to break down like, yo, the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
Dude. Why do you have the Hall of Fame?
And she liked it, though. She liked it.
Yo, she probably watches football.
Hey. That's what led me to believe that this was in a rural community where, like, you either get it or you don't. I think that he thought he was dressed to the nines and that he was a gentleman, and gentlemen wear a suit and a tie on dates.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He was dressed appropriately to get enshrined into the Hall of Fame.
I just happen to think that, this was the color scheme that came up in his rotation, though. It was like, hey.
It had to be something, but all right, that's where it goes. All right, I got a question now. All right, now I got some more movie questions for you. Watching this film, did you get any sense that there were some scenes that were taken out?
Oh, no question. Okay,
like give me a couple ideas about.
Well, the first one,
because I thought so too. Watching it, like, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, the first one off the top is the trailer scene with the sexual interaction between I can't even
Him
call
and
it saying,
Brad.
yeah, like I can't even call it that. I think he got raped, to be honest with you, but that's another
Mm.
story for another day. But yeah, that scene in particular, it
Yeah,
just
they
seems
did.
chopped up.
They
Uh,
still had to edit it.
yeah,
Okay.
and then I think also like him actually spending time in some type of lockup holding cell or whatever have you.
Mm.
And they never talk about how or why he initially goes to the counselor. So some
That's
type of
true.
like
Yep.
build up as far as explanation as far as, yeah, as a kid, she's been his therapist, has seen him through some tough times, and part of the arrangement, because she mentions like, yo, they will take you having custody of your grandfather and et cetera, et cetera. And even the whole explanation of him having the job. There's no way you could tell me that being a bad person pays enough to pay a mortgage or
Yeah.
taxes on a house. Like
Yeah.
something's not right here.
Well, how about the money to buy steroids, the
Who's his
gym member,
dealer?
the
Yeah.
gym membership,
You never,
2 guns? Like, where's
yo,
he get
where's he
them?
get? Unless his
Yeah,
parents left him an inheritance, explain it to me though.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where's he
They
getting?
didn't seem like inheritance people.
I don't know.
That didn't
Maybe
seem-
not. Maybe his
maybe
pops
so,
worked
maybe
for the
so,
railroad. But I get your
maybe,
point. Like she seemed
maybe
like a
so.
stay-at-home mom, so that's no income, and I don't know what he was doing. Got to be blue-collar work.
Something crazy. All right. Next question. So this is some. I know this is a stretch, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask it anyway. So if a person like Killian Maddox is your friend,
Mm.
how would you have advised him?
Well, hopefully none of my friends are in this type of predicament. So,
Of course.
just being the judge of character, birds of a feather flock together, et cetera, et cetera. But if he is, we're definitely trying to do stuff that's constructive, that is building up your spirit, but not just. See, he did a great job of building up his physical appearance, but it's the mental, emotional, and
Yeah.
spiritual. So we would have to do things more inclined with that, have more in-depth conversations about hopes, aspirations, dreams,
Yeah.
really get into the heart of, hey, what are you feeling? What is it about you that makes you feel this way? Or, how
Yeah.
is it that you're able to continue doing these things when they're contradictory to what you feel your purpose is?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what he needs. He needed real friendship,
Yeah.
real
Real.
camaraderie,
Yeah.
real community. And unfortunately, that's another thing he doesn't have. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's tough. All right. The scene so this goes back to the scene in the restaurant where he kirks out. All right. So let's say you're in that restaurant, right? And you see him kind of going through his thing. What would you do if you were in the restaurant when that was going on?
Well, typically I'm nodding over to my lady like, yo, do you see this? This is wild. I'm definitely not trying to get in the middle of this because I'm
Heck
like,
no, no, you don't want to get suplexed.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not breaking out my camera, but I ain't mad if somebody does, and then I go and watch the YouTube draw. I'm keeping it a buck. Like,
I got you.
I'm gonna be like, yo, did you remember this scene? And I'm rewinding it, like 50 Cent said, and we eating popcorn to the tape. Um, but in realistically, I'm not calling the cops. The reason why I'm not calling the cops, because he didn't do anything that wasn't warranted. What I mean by
Well,
that,
you don't, but you wouldn't know that. You would
oh no,
only
no!
know
I
that.
heard him say, "Yo, you jumped me,"
Yeah,
and the guy
yeah.
said, "Yeah, this you made your
Oh
point."
yeah, yeah. You're
He's
right.
like,
Yeah,
"Yo."
good point. Yep.
So at
You made
that
your
point,
point. Yep.
I'd have been like, "Nah, you get what you deserve. You beat this man with other dudes."
There it
And I'm
is.
looking at him bandaged up. I'm like, "Yeah,
So you're a fan of street justice, is what you're saying.
hey, if we do a movie on it, just know it may or may not have been my recommendation." That's all I'm
Street
saying.
justice. There it is. All right, cool. All right, next one. All right. So we see where the film ends. What happens to Killian Maddox in the next 6 months?
Oh man, he goes to jail. He may get some time served, but he's doing at least 12 months. They're going to have him, put up some type of restitution.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to
Yeah.
mandate that he continues with counseling and such,
Yeah.
and oh, drug tests are mandatory.
Yeah.
And if they're
So
feeling generous, they might just hit him with the time served and give him an ankle monitor. Yeah, you can
so
go to the gym, your garage gym.
magazine dreams, prison push-ups. So you can say he can be doing the pull-ups
Yeah,
on the
oh yeah,
side of
he'll
the
be doing
bed
real stuff.
in the next one. All right. Well, maybe so. All right. We talked about it a little bit in the beginning. I want to end on this question because a lot of people look at this movie. Well, some people have looked at this movie as maybe the resurgence of Johnathan Majors in the
Mhm.
world of Hollywood and acting. I want to ask this question this way: do you think that Johnathan Majors will play a comic book character again?
Yes, yeah, I say that wholeheartedly. I think
Okay.
Marvel's not done with them. I think Marvel recognizes the hypocrisy of not only having a litany of other actors who have had
Mhm.
some pitfalls star in their movies, but I also
Yeah.
think that they recognize that with the Russo brothers now in charge, they can flip it to where now they can make a more cohesive story. There's a reason why they have almost all of their characters back. There's a
Yeah.
reason why Kang is such a prominent figure in the Marvel universe that they can't
Mhm.
just have Doom kill him and that be it. Like that,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Kang is Kang the Conqueror for a reason.
Yeah.
Kang
So you
is,
think that you see him coming back and actually being
yeah,
okay?
yeah. I
Got it.
even if it's a minor role, I just hope they don't mess it up. But they have a brilliant opportunity to really
Bring
hop
it.
on this train called Johnathan Majors, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's so well, as we said in the beginning, he's so magnetic in this film
Yeah.
that if you're talking about putting somebody on screen that's going to draw eyes to it, if you go in the film, you go in the movie theater and you watch
Hmm.
it, you're going to watch this guy.
Yeah, he's mesmerizing.
If I was James Gunn, I'd be picking up the phone and calling him
Oh, no question.
for a role. I would be maybe I don't know what the role is, but I would be trying to get him into the DCEU right now.
Mm. I could think of a
Uh,
few roles. Some may be changing the magnitude, but I could think of a few roles.
I would definitely be trying to get him in something
Yeah.
because that's a lot of talent right there,
Mm-hmm.
and he can play a physical villain too, or a
Yeah.
physical hero,
Mm-hmm.
whichever you want to do. He can do it. But all right, that's that. I agree with you. I do think that his career is going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think if you watch this, it's going to be very hard for someone like that to not get some more work.
No, man. Off the top, I'm thinking like he could be Icon.
Oh, great one.
He could be
Great pick.
yeah, he could be Cyborg, like he could be Hardware, like or Hardwire. He could be a couple of dudes off the top I'm thinking of, man. Like
Yeah. What about Darkseid?
definitely.
What about Darkseid? That'd be
Definitely.
him too.
That's why I'm like, yo, he could be a couple of dudes, man. Like
James Gunn, pick up the phone.
you heard it
Might
here.
be
You heard it
might be a
here.
good move. Might be
Mm.
a good move. All right. Popcorn boxes, man. I'm gonna let you go
Yeah.
first.
I started off with negative popcorn boxes.
What is the negative? Is like so. There's a popcorn box with no popcorn in it. That's
Yeah. It's just the
negative
thought
popcorn.
of popcorn, man. Like you can't even afford it, you know?
Popcorn dreams. That's
Yeah,
what you say.
popcorn dreams.
Popcorn dreams. We
That's
start with that.
real.
All
And
right.
but I worked my way up to I'm gonna give it 4, man. I give it
Wow,
4.
that's a lot.
And this
Wow.
conversation helped me get there. Like really like pinpoint, get through some things. Like I'm working it out in my head like, yeah, that's a good point. No. Okay. Yeah, I see that. I didn't see that before. I
Yeah.
overlooked that. Yeah, I'm going with 4 boxes.
Yeah, yo, we are, as you say, simpatico. I got 4 boxes
Yeah.
too. This is a hard movie to watch.
Mhm.
It is a real movie to watch.
Mhm.
It's definitely got Requiem for a Dream vibes, where it's like we watch it. I don't know if I would come back and watch this
Oh,
again,
I'm not.
but I absolutely think this is a good film.
Yeah.
And as we said at the beginning, it's a tragedy that more people have not seen it already.
Mhm.
Hopefully that picks up. I could very easily see this becoming a film that once it hits streaming,
Oh
all of a
yeah.
sudden people are watching it left and right. Like
Yeah.
it'll become like a cult classic kind of film.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see that. All right, man. Hot takes, man. Mr. Will, what you got on your hot takes?
This is rough for me, man. But I'm gonna say the hot take for me is this: it's an indictment on people that slept on this movie. That's my segue from
Mm,
this. Powerful acting, even the minor characters get busy. You know what I mean? They
yeah.
all help to accentuate just how great. I once heard another actor in another podcast forum recently say, you know, dude is so nice that it makes you think that this is easy and everybody can do it.
Yeah.
I think people forget that Johnathan Majors has a master's degree from Yale in acting.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like he's serious about his craft. And I think it's an indictment when we allow the court of public opinion to influence what other individuals do in a professional setting. What I
Hmm.
may do in my private life is just that, my private life. But if I come to work and I'm ready to work and I put out quality material, two things can be true simultaneously and not overlapped or have anything to do with one another. People can compartmentalize.
Yeah. There it is, man. Yo, my hot take is related to this, and it's a little bit adjacent to it. Somebody needs to figure out how to get Joaquin Phoenix and
Mm.
Jonathan Majors in a film together,
Wow.
doing something where I don't know, they could be like they could start off in an insane asylum and break out.
Mm-hmm.
They could be two friends, something.
A crazy version of 48 Hours.
These dudes they're cooking. Like they're cooking. Like even go you talked about your progression of going through watching this film where you started and where you
Mm-hmm.
are now in terms of your ratings. I did that same journey.
Yeah.
I had my feelings about the film, but what I always thought for sure is this dude can act this.
Yeah.
This dude can act.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I felt that way about Joker and Joker 2.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we didn't like Joker
Nope.
2,
No.
that what Joaquin Phoenix is doing that, undeniable.
Yeah.
That kind of talent that these types of guys have, that needs to be showcased more. I would love to see something more with this. And the next thing that Johnathan Majors is in, I'm gonna check it out.
Oh, no question, man. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
I'm gonna check it out, man.
I like
So,
The Harder They Fall, man.
yeah, right? Yeah, right. I might have to do that one day for sure, man. Yeah, so there it is, man. That's our breakdown of and a review of Magazine Dreams. I think we covered everything, man. We really we got
No
in it, man.
stone left unturned.
We got it. We got it right. We got all the reps. You know what I'm saying? A couple assisted reps. We got them in, but we did it. We did the whole workout. You know what I mean? We're gonna get our rest and recovery on, and we'll be back next week. So next week we'll be back with Limitless, another movie, oddly enough, about enhancements.
Yeah.
about how you kind of enhance yourself. So that's a more of a mental note, but
Yeah.
that's where that is. Once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Spotify podcasts, we're on Apple Podcasts, we are on YouTube, where we want you to subscribe and share so we can continue to grow this channel. We will see you again next week. Peace.